So right now we have 5 panelists that are going to tell and explain us in around 10 minutes what they're looking for in the market. Why would they come to Brazil, and what would they expect to hear from a Brazilian company that wants to sell games? So we're not talking about trends, about provisions and ideas. We're talking about specifically what they are looking for here. So each and every one of them is going to have 10 minutes to talk about what they're looking for and what would sweep them out of their fate. And then we can have like 5 minutes question to maybe one or another of them. Okay, so I'm just going to call Tim. You just heard of him from the European Games Group, and we'll start with him and then forward. Okay, great.
Bom, agora eu vou fazer tipo uma mistura entre português e inglês, porque os meus slides estão em inglês, mas eu vou falar português. Tudo bem? Então, como já expliquei um pouco antes aqui no painel, o nome da nossa empresa é European Games Group. Somos uma empresa alemã, mas com atividades internacionais. O meu nome é Ying, eu sou a pessoa responsável para a América Latina e, em geral, para a expansão internacional dentro da empresa. E para aqueles que não estavam aqui antes, eu vou repetir esse slide. No que realmente quero focar aqui é dizer que para nós os jogos realmente vêm em primeiro lugar. Claro, também é importante que o jogo tem que virar um negócio. A gente trabalha com esse tema de negócios também para ganhar dinheiro, tanto os desenvolvedores, tanto nós, mas acreditamos que o conteúdo do jogo, que o jogo realmente tem que estar no primeiro lugar, né? Por causa disso, a gente diz games come first, e para poder realizar esse objetivo, que games comes first, é muito importante que, na nossa opinião, que o desenvolvedor mantém a maioria ou todos os direitos que tem a ver com o jogo. Quer dizer, é a marca do jogo, é o game design, é o source code do jogo, porque é o que o desenvolvedor realmente sabe fazer bem, é desenvolver jogo. Então, isso faz parte do nosso modelo de negócio. É porque a gente está indo agora para a América Latina, ou no começo para o Brasil. Sou um pouco alto demais. Então, uma razão, claro, a gente quer divulgar, comercializar os nossos jogos que a gente já tem na Europa, na América Latina, no Brasil. E justamente por causa disso, a gente tem aqui no Brasil já várias parcerias com portais importantes, com o UOL, com Clique Jogos. A gente está falando com vários outros portais, inclusive emissoras de televisão, sobre parcerias para divulgar o nosso jogo aqui no Brasil. Mas agora aqui virei mas na verdade é número 2, né? É 2. Então, uma outra atividade nossa aqui no Brasil é que a gente quer entrar em parcerias com desenvolvedores brasileiros. E digo parceria porque, para nós, nós não vemos somente como publisher, nós realmente vemos como partner, como parceiro do desenvolvedor. E gostaríamos muito de entrar em parcerias com desenvolvedores aqui que têm jogos online que cumprem esses quatro pontos aqui, né? O jogo tem que ser inovador e único. Claro, todo mundo quer isso. Só trabalhamos com jogos de navegador, com jogos MMO, e tem que ser jogos que são do modelo freemium, do modelo FTP, que já foi mencionado aqui no painel anterior. A nossa visão é realmente ser o enabler e partner principal da Europa para jogos online free-to-play. E temos toda a infraestrutura e também os recursos humanos dentro da empresa para realmente poder atingir esse objetivo. porque todos que trabalham na European Games Group têm um background bem forte na área de online, games, conteúdo. E, claro, não somos uma empresa como Ubisoft, com milhões de players, mas vocês podem ver que fomos fundados em novembro de 2010, e agora já temos 3 jogos com mais de 3 milhões de players a nível internacional, e no Brasil temos mais de 600 mil jogadores com o nosso jogo Hero Zero. A gente está em 11 países, principalmente na Europa, mas agora também no Brasil e no México também. E a nossa empresa é por 80% founder-owned, quer dizer que realmente sabemos como funciona quando alguma empresa tem que crescer do zero, né? Então, todo o dinheiro que dentro da nossa empresa até hoje vem 80% dos fundadores. E um aspecto que vem aqui no final, mas é muito importante no nosso modelo de negócios, é que a gente vai se focar somente em 3 a 4 jogos por ano. Isso é muito importante, porque com essa quantidade de jogos, realmente dá para se concentrar, se focar em cada jogo. Por exemplo, se a gente quiser fazer alguma coisa especial dentro do jogo, fazer alguma regionalização do jogo. Eu mencionei antes que a gente colocou no nosso jogo alguns itens brasileiros. Essa possibilidade de trabalhar nessas ideias realmente só existem quando se foca numa quantidade pequena de jogos. Esses aqui são os nossos jogos que a gente está publicando agora. O Nova Raider é de um desenvolvedor da França, que a gente acabou de lançar na Europa, e muito provável que a gente vai lançar esse jogo em breve aqui também no Brasil. O Hero Zero eu já mencionei não sei quantas vezes aqui hoje. Quem ainda não conhece o jogo e quem quiser jogar o jogo mais tarde, tenho aqui um vale de R$25, ainda tenho alguns aqui comigo, então se alguém quiser mais tarde eu dou com prazer. Temos um jogo, é muito difícil para pronunciar isso em português, é um jogo bem alemão, se chama Schulterglatze, esse jogo a gente não vai lançar no Brasil, é um jogo militar que funciona muito bem na Alemanha e em alguns outros países europeus, na Polônia, por exemplo, está bombando. E tem o nosso jogo que se chama Einsatzleiter, é tipo um jogo de você gerencia carros da polícia, ambulância, essas coisas também está funcionando muito bem na Europa. E aqui alguns jogos que a gente tá no nosso planejamento. Tem um jogo que se chama Candy Farmer, Lannister Wars, é um jogo de medieval. Então tem alguns jogos na nossa lista para serem lançados em breve. Bom, como a maioria de vocês, eu acho, são desenvolvedores, só queria enfatizar qual é a nossa ideia, a nossa oferta, a nossa proposta para os desenvolvedores. Nós, como European Games Group, damos para você o acesso ao mercado a nível internacional. Claro, somos mais fortes na Europa, mas também temos acesso a outros mercados. Por exemplo, agora a gente está desenvolvendo os nossos negócios aqui na América Latina, mas também vemos outros mercados a nível internacional. Se você trabalhar com a gente, você vai manter a sua independência, quer dizer, toda a parte técnica, tudo que tem a ver com source code, tudo que tem a ver com design é o seu negócio e fica na sua propriedade. E isso é importante, o que a gente dá o dinheiro para poder fazer o marketing do seu jogo. Então, temos os recursos financeiros para financiar todas as atividades de marketing que sejam necessárias para lançar o seu jogo. Isso pode ser marketing com Google, mas também são parcerias. O que seja necessário, a gente tem os recursos para lançar e também depois deixar crescer o seu jogo. A grande vantagem, tudo isso eu já mencionei, tem a expertise do developer e tem a nossa expertise. Ao final, significa para o desenvolvedor, você tem menos risco, porque você tem um parceiro, um partner que toma conta de toda a parte comercial do negócio, e você participa do sucesso do seu jogo. Se você trabalhar como um publisher tradicional, muitas vezes você tem a vantagem de ganhar algum dinheiro upfront, mas, por outro lado, depois você só fica ganhando royalties, que é uma porcentagem do faturamento, né? Então, isso quer dizer que você perde muita possibilidade econômica em relação ao seu jogo. E se você trabalhar com o European Games Group, temos essa ideia de shared risk, shared profit. Então, dividimos os lucros do jogo 50% com o desenvolvedor. Então, se um jogo realmente tiver muito sucesso, vocês também participam importante desse sucesso. Isso aqui, na verdade, está resumindo o que eu acabei de dizer. Então, o nosso diferencial é você mantém todos os direitos autorais do jogo e pode controlar esses direitos autorais. Você pode criar o seu jogo independentemente, sem a gente não vai mexer no seu trabalho. Você vai manter a liberdade para todos os developments que você vai ter no futuro. Então, a gente faria um contrato só para um jogo e não para todos os jogos que você faz. Então, se vocês não estiverem satisfeitos com a gente, no outro jogo vocês poderiam dar para o outro publisher. E damos todo o acesso à nossa equipe de especialistas na área de publicidade, de marketing, de business development. Tudo isso a gente oferece para o desenvolvedor. E ainda não falei sobre números. O risco para vocês é diminuído porque nós tomamos conta do cash, do dinheiro que você precisa para lançar o jogo, para o marketing, para o dinheiro de marketing que você precisa para lançar o seu jogo. E, bom, eu espero que vocês tenham entendido, mesmo com português com sotaque, né? Mas se vocês estiverem com qualquer pergunta, por favor, me mandem um e-mail. Ali no outro lado está a nossa equipe. Qualquer pergunta vocês podem fazer agora ou mais tarde. Mais tarde. Tá bom. Então, mais tarde, ou vocês podem me mandar um e-mail. Obrigado.
Hi. I'm Amanda Cinfio. I'm Director of Account Management in Third-Party Developer Relations at Gree International in San Francisco. And here's a little bit of information about Gree. Gree was founded in Tokyo in 2004. Our CEO, Yoshikazu Tanaka, is one of the youngest billionaires in the world. He's 35. He's also single, ladies. Gree International was founded in January 2011, and our CEO, Naoki Aoyagi, was one of the original team who actually joined Tanaka-san in 2004. So he came over to the US to head up the US operation last year. In April 2011, Gree acquired OpenFaint, and then in May 2012, so it's very recent, we also acquired Funzio. We now have 450 employees in San Francisco and nearly 2,000 all over the world. As you can see from the map, we have offices in lots of places, including an office actually here in Sao Paulo. And this is the beginning of us recognizing how very important Latin America is to us. We're moving more and more into this region. Gree is a publisher in its own right. You can see some icons there from some of our first-party studio developed and published games, Zombie Zombie, Kingdom Age, etc. And on the right-hand side, you'll see what the Gree platform looks like. So we're also a platform holder. So here's some quick facts. Our net profit last year was $600 million US. We're projecting 2.5 billion US in revenue this year, and we are market capped at $4 billion US. That's a lot of money. It's a lot more zeros than I can think about. So there's some things I'd like to say to you to keep in mind when we're talking about prospectively working together. It's important to me to understand what your needs are and what game you're making. And I will probably spend most of our conversation asking questions. I'm not going to try and sell you anything until I've asked you questions. Developers have many choices. You all have many choices. You can self-publish, you can work with a publisher, you can work with a platform. There is no right or wrong answer. It's what's right for you. This space is moving fast, so we strongly suggest you all get educated and you know what your options are. It's really important to know what your choices are. Social gaming platforms are one option. They're not an option that everyone wants, but they're one option, and that's what we're here for. So from my perspective, I've been working in the games industry since 1992. So the first games I sold were on floppy disk. I don't think anybody in this audience probably remembers that. You do. The first game I sold came in a box with 5 floppy disks. That was piracy for you. Then I went into console and spent 10 years at Sony, and now I'm obviously in the digital space. I've been at Gree for nearly 3 years. I joined OpenFaint, in fact, in 2010. So I've witnessed the growth that we've gone through, and it's really explosive. I work for probably the biggest multinational mobile gaming company that makes a platform in the world, and that's huge. It's very, very big. And I represent the interests of our third-party partners to Gree, and Gree's interests back to our partners. Eliana said something at lunchtime that I thought was very interesting. She said, everyone is a diplomat. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's what I do every day. I'm an ambassador. Oh, one thing I forgot to say. Below are just a few logos of some of the companies we work with from the third-party relations department, from all sizes. So small companies like Invictus, who is an independent developer in Hungary, Brains, who's in Colombia. Some of you, if you've been watching the press today, you may see that we've just actually put out a big press release about our partnership with Brains. And companies up to the size of Sega, BBC Worldwide, Get Set, etc. So just a brief history of gaming platforms for you. You're all familiar with Xbox Live, and Xbox Live had many features which were very exciting. They represented the first networks. Some of you I know use Steam. I was speaking to someone earlier who does that. PlayStation then launched their PlayStation Network, and then suddenly Facebook took off. You know that social games started there. We launched OpenFaint actually in 2007, and the first App Store made its appearance in 2008. Obviously, Apple realized it was a good idea, and they launched Game Center. It was a little bit like having Walmart move in down the street. Mobage came on the scene, and now here we are with Gree. So most of you will be familiar with some of those names. The evolution of mobile games in that space is also very fast. I think one of the most frightening things is to keep up. Fruit Ninja was our first success on OpenFaint, and it was an arcade, casual-style game. It's changed now, but it was a pay-per-download arcade game. Towards the end of 2010, we started to see the move towards free-to-play games with in-app purchases, with virtual economies, things like Zombie Farm. We worked very closely with Get Set on Mega Jump and then later on Mega Run. And free-to-play social games started to move into a very fragmented ecosystem, and you started to see things in 2011. There was this big trend of with friends. We were in this with friends space for a long time. Now we're moving towards this free-to-play social games, but within the player's social network. We're moving fast. So you have these choices, as I mentioned earlier. You can partner with someone, you can publish, you can go it alone. There are some challenges, which I think you probably all are aware of. The high cost per acquisition, you're dealing with that all the time. We talked about it in the earlier panel. Limited cross-promotion abilities. Apple, will they feature me? Maybe they won't, maybe they will, don't know. Too many ad networks to even think about. Viral engagement is weak. There's no clear social graph. How do I get all these people who are connected to each other to come and play my game? The channels are diffused. There's so many of them. And the App Store actually hides the conversion tracking. You don't actually get to see that virality. There are several solutions. You have several options. So this is the current platform landscape today. Everything to the left really deals with social or hardware platforms. Everything to the right really focuses on games or game platforms. And we exist in that top right corner, along with other companies in the space, such as Mobagi or Playphone, who you may have heard of. And then there are the publishers' own platforms, which are starting to emerge, which you've probably also heard of. Zynga has their own platform, EA has Origin, and those platforms are very game-focused. So ask yourself, what kind of developer are you? Where do you sit on this scale? There are huge, enormous, large studios, which everyone's familiar with, such as Ubisoft, for example, global and have huge resources. There are mid-sized companies who are growing in the space, who have developed a certain amount of expertise, but who still need help. And then there are independent developers who understand the basic technology, but what they need is education, or they need help, they need service solutions, and they need what we call games as a service. There's a good chance that you sit somewhere along there. What we focus on at Gree at the moment is working a lot with mid-size and independent developers. We have partnerships that are larger and global as well, but in this market, this is where we're focusing. So if you have questions, that's my email address. I'm here to talk to all of you, and we can discuss what your needs are. Just bear in mind that I will be asking you lots of questions first. Thank you.
Okay, so I have one slide in my presentation. It's this, and I think I'm starting a trend. Oh, sorry, pull it forward this way? Okay, hold on. Sure. Oh, no, I don't need to take it out. I'm not Madonna. I don't need to sing. So I've heard a lot about publishers today. It was very funny sitting in the audience. The keynote speaker from Obsidian, he's right about almost all of those points. I've been through quite a few, and I was laughing in the back. And then also the publisher panel, a lot of very, very good points as well. And so for Konami, I'm just going to focus on where we are as a company and what we're looking for. So Konami has been around for quite some time. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. It's a little over 40 years old, I believe. Started in the coin-op arcade business with titles like Frogger, Contra, Gradius, Track and Field. I'm sure you guys are familiar with those. We have offices on a global basis, so we have headquarters in Los Angeles for the Americas. We also have an office in Mexico City, and we are opening an office in Brazil. We do have the #1 video game in Latin America, Pro Evolution Soccer. I'm sure you guys play. And we also have a focus on a couple of other of our franchise brands for the console retail space, Metal Gear and Castlevania at this point. Something you may not know is we have the #1 mobile game in Japan. It's called the Dragon Collection, and it's tied to Amanda's platform, Gree. And we are tremendously successful in that space, and we are looking to bring that success to the West. As a result, Konami is investing quite a bit in its internal studios capabilities. We are opening a second studio for Mr. Kojima, as well as the Pro Evolution Soccer team in the West. And we are also expanding our mobile and social development capabilities in the Americas. What that leaves for an opportunity is, and what I'm focused on, is the new way of doing acquisitions. So the traditional acquisition model is non-existent at Konami. We may have some work for hire projects available, but what we're really looking for is partnerships where we would provide publishing as a service. So we are looking for fully funded digital games that are available for distribution. Let's see, I lost my train of thought. So what we offer can be anything from whether you're a developer that is looking to develop digital titles for console platforms and you are developing across a bunch of digital platforms and all you're looking for is somebody to partner with to get your title on Xbox Live Arcade because it can be a little difficult to do on your own. We can do that, partner with you just on one platform while you provide all of the development and marketing for your platform, for your title on additional platforms, all the way through to if you have a mobile title and you're looking for that full service of analytics and evaluation and marketing and publishing partnerships. We can do that as well. We have an office that is in San Mateo that was established this year. And we have a new head of our mobile and social team that is based out of that office, and he's building his team to become very competitive with, in terms of that type of service. And the deal structure for each one of these products, or each one of these projects, really depend on what you're looking for. So as I said, we're looking for fully funded titles, fully funded digital titles available for distribution, and the deal structure really does reflect what you're looking for as a development team. We do not, as I think somebody mentioned earlier today about acquiring IP, we don't acquire IP. It's really, again, providing publishing as a service and listening to the development team and trying to figure out what you need and where your company is growing and how we can best help you out with that. I think that's about it. Very basic.
Hi everyone, I'm Fred. It's great to be in Brazil. It's my first time in Brazil. So I'm really happy to be invited to this show. And have you heard about Paradox Interactive that I represent? How many? Yeah, quite a few of you. I like that. Thank you. So for the rest of you, I'm going to tell you who Paradox Interactive is. I actually only have 5 slides, and they're only white with black text. It's so you should look at me and not at the slides, right? We were established in 1999, and I was a part of taking over the company in 2004 when no one else wanted the company. That's a true story, actually. We turned the company from an indie developer, just much like a lot of you, into an indie publisher, whatever we mean by that. It's still a very vague term, I tell you that. We used to be 7 people when I took it over. We made a huge loss that year in 2003, 2004, and then we turned the ship around. We did not inject any capital whatsoever. We're still a privately held company. And we operate worldwide with our titles. Brazil is actually our fastest growing market in terms of customers, although from a low level, it's still really interesting to see. Our focus is mainly PC games at the moment. It's still strange to say PC because it's all about actually delivering a great gaming experience, and how you play the game is of much lesser interest, really. But many of our games are played with mouse and keyboard. So we're into the digital space. 97% of all our releases today are sold digitally, or 97% of the revenue is made digitally, and the rest through traditional retailers. So hardcore games is where we're at. We're not doing any Facebook games. We're not doing any mobile or social games at the moment. The hardcore audience is what we're after. And I'm going to talk about myself. It's kind of my favorite topics. I made 3 bullets about myself as well. I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman. My first company that I started was in 1989. And this company imported Nintendo games from Taiwan. So it was great. We had Super Mario Bros. 3 4 months before it was released in retail in Sweden. The only problem, were 2 problems. It's that it was in Japanese. And the second problem was that it was illegal copies. But I was only 15 at the time, so I didn't have a clue. So I was sold games like hell. I sold a lot of games. Up until my mother received a letter from a lawyer saying your son is selling illegal games. So we had to shut the business down. True story. Actually, it's kind of embarrassing. So I come from a pirate background, you could say, unknowingly so, but today we try to do everything as legal as we possibly can. So I say games industry since 2003, it should be 1989. I've been in this company since 2003. I worked with over 25 teams on over 75 releases in total since 2004. We signed our first Brazilian developed game 1.5 years ago with a company called Critical Studios based in Rio. And they're developing a game called Dungeon Land for us. And we're releasing that on January 22. So look out for that. Looking great. So our games, we try to deliver a certain experience with our games, a certain atmosphere, no matter if it's a strategy game, RPG, or whatever. We talk a lot about high replayability. What is the reason for a gamer to pick up the game a second time and the third time and play it again? That's everything. In the social space, a lot has to do with peer pressure, which is a very strong factor overall in games. But we're looking for even deeper things than that, like the high score, the whatever, the kill streak that you're after. That's what we're looking for. High average playtime. I was looking at one of our games this morning, Crusader Kings 2. Do you know that game? Anyone? Yeah, a few of you? I looked at our Steam numbers, and we have a 58-hour average playtime of the game of over 200,000 people that we measured while they were playing. That's the type of game that we're looking for. Hardcore elements, like I mentioned, a long and aggressive post-release plan for the game. You have to develop the game. We're building our franchises over 3 to 5 years together with the developer. We're looking mostly for strategy, action, and RPG on what we call the open platforms. It's been traditionally very hard for us to work with PlayStation and Xbox, and we're looking to work with them if the opportunity comes up. Otherwise, we're mostly working on PC and Mac. Linux is now coming in. Since Steam is actively supporting Linux, it might be a very interesting platform to look at. But also iOS and Android are growing markets, obviously. And we like to experiment. That is actually something we do a lot. So if you recognize one of the games here and you feel that that's the type of game I want to make, I'm the guy to talk to. And the good thing with this is that we're privately held. So I'm the biggest owner. So if you have any questions on if we sign a game and you still have questions on things, you can just call me or email me because I'm always available. I sit with my cell phone like you saw all the time and reply to emails. I was Skyping with a guy in the office now. I have some problems. So my advice is that make the games you want to play yourself and make it the game I want to play. And then we're going to have a great business together. And we're both going to make a lot of money. Hardcore games for a smart market, replayability. The niche that you're in gives you more freedom to act, actually. You don't need to talk about freedom because if you own a niche, you're free within that niche. Some people come to me and say that we have a game that is better than World of Warcraft. And I just say back, if we can agree that your game is not better than World of Warcraft, we might be doing business. But one thing is that you can do something in World of Warcraft better than Blizzard does it. Might be the fighting system, might be the loot system, the quest system, and focus only on that and make it the best looting game in the world. Then you might have a really good market. So our unofficial tagline is the paradox. We do what no one else really dares to do. I'm not sure it's actually accurate, but it's a really good punchline. Thank you very much.